Hello and welcome to another pattern recognition video. So today we have advanced puzzles rated 1800 to 2000. If you're lower rated than that, you can still try these. They may be difficult, some of them for you. If not, let's continue here and I'll try and do at least 10 puzzles. Basically, these don't have a theme. They're random, more closely simulating a normal game where you don't know what kind of puzzles you're going to have. So if you're new to pattern recognition, basically you want to solve a set of puzzles, whether it's 5 or 10 or 100 or 1,000. But you go through nice and slow the first time, taking your time, maybe 5 minutes to look at the puzzle if it's difficult, and the other 5 minutes to review it if it's got a complicated answer to the puzzle. And then you just go through those multiple times. The next time you go through, maybe cut your time in half, and each time you want to solve them faster and faster. And if you do that about 7 times, most of those patterns and puzzles will start being kind of ingrained into your long-term memory, and then hopefully you'll be able to use them in your own games. So moving on here, what do we have going on? Black just jumped a knight into white's position here. How do we want to deal with that? And what tactic is there, if any? So, if you're solving a puzzle or if you're in your own game, the first thing you might want to do is look at the position, count up the material, see who's ahead to begin with. So we have 7 pawns, our opponent only has 6, so we're ahead by 1 pawn, but our opponent does have a bishop for a knight, and that could be an endgame advantage with pawns on both sides of the board perhaps. So you look at the material, we found out that we're ahead of pawn, then look for checks, captures, and threats in that order. Checks first is their most forcing. Do we have any checks? Yes. If we jump a knight here or here, both of those knights could deliver a check, but they would be captured here by pawn. Probably not the rook because our pawn is covering that. We could move here and deliver a check, but their knight could just capture, and then we would recapture, and it would just double our pawns up. So maybe we have another tactic. Take a look, see if you can figure out the answer. Pause if you need to. If not, here we go. Looks like we could just take that knight immediately, because then if they capture, we have this tactic here of forking the king and the rook, and we regain that rook. So there, check, we get our rook back, and now we're just ahead a piece here. All right, that was rated 1930. On to puzzle number 2. Okay, the queen just captured here. Or sorry, the rook just captured, attacking our queen, and our queen, should maybe recapture unless there's something better. So, is there anything better? Oh, wow. Okay, now if we follow our system, we could count up the material. We have 3 pawns, our opponent has 4, so they're ahead by 1 pawn. They're also ahead by a bishop, so we're down in material. So we need to look at checks first. Do we have any good checks with a follow-up? You don't want to check just because you can and then have no follow-up after that. So maybe we go here. So pause the video if you need to calculate longer. If not, remember, when a king is being attacked, what are the 3 options for that king? Capture the attacker, block, or run from the attacker. And remember, if none of those can be accomplished, then it'll be a checkmate. So if we move up here, deliver a check, there's no way to capture the queen. There's no way to block it. So the king would have to run. Now our knight is preventing the king from running forward. So the only option is to move to the side. And then our queen could drop in here and deliver the mate backed up by the knight. So check and mate. And this is a great example of how well a knight and a queen can work together, especially because they have different types of moves. You know, they can't copy each other's moves. The knight moves in that crazy L shape that the queen cannot do. And then, you know, of course, the queen is so versatile where it can just move diagonally, horizontally, vertically. It could shoot across the board in one move. All right, on to puzzle number 3. The knight has jumped forward, unleashing a discovered attack on our bishop with two attackers and only one defender, and the one defender is under attack by this knight that's attacking our queen. So, do we counterattack their queen? If we do that, and maybe we have something better, so we'll have to take a look at that as well. So the system, count up the material. We have 5 pawns. Our opponent has 6, so we're down a pawn. We have 2 minor pieces, 2 rooks and a queen, so everything else is even. We're just down a pawn. If we look at checks first, and hopefully you did, because then maybe you would find this move, check. Then what? The rook would probably help defend. You could capture. But if you did, how does that work? Let's take a look at it from the beginning. So check. The rook could block, but then it would be pinned. So different options. We could just go back and, well, if you try and grab that, then they can capture this. So pretty much we have to capture with check. King has what options? Can't capture the queen. Could block with the rook and then also help defend here. You know, or the king running doesn't seem so good, or we would just capture their bishop. So we're going to go there, and then after this move, what next? We could just capture, and then if they capture, we can grab that knight. So now we're just up a knight here for that. They don't even have an extra pawn now, as we both have 5 pawns. Okay, what do we have next? Puzzle number 4. Bishop centralizes here. Doing what? What is the bishop doing? Controlling squares in the center, perhaps? Okay. Huh. What now? If we look at the material, we have 5 pawns, 6 pawns, excuse me, versus 5. So we're up a pawn, even though this one is kind of doubled. We have 3 minor pieces. Our opponent only has 2. So are we ahead in material here? Ahead by a knight and a pawn? All right, we're ahead in material, so that's good. Our king is kind of hanging out in the open a little bit because this bishop is preventing our king from running back to the back rank. Now, Do we have any good checks? Queen is attacking up the open file, but there's no way to get up there and remain protected. So what do we do? Huh. Okay. Kind of tricky. Do we just jump up here and attack the queen? Something like that? The problem is that wouldn't work too well after this check, because we'd have to block and then our queen would be captured. All right, so we don't want to do that. So checks, captures, and threats. That's the order you want to look at things. If we look at checks first, let's take a look at all the checks, even the ridiculous ones. If we move our queen here or here, it'll be captured. And then I don't see a good follow-up. Any other checks? No, I don't even see any other checks. Okay, I don't think we have any good checks. So captures. When you're looking at captures, you want to look at pieces that are unprotected first in your opponent's camp. So this bishop is unprotected, so maybe there's a way to go after that. And we have to watch out for checks along this H file. Okay. Unprotected bishop. Unprotected rook. Another unprotected rook, but that's back in the corner and we can't really get to that. So anything we can do. Do we jump our knight forward? What does that do? Threaten that? No. Man, our king is really out in the open. I'm wondering. And also there's this threat of the rook coming over and chasing our queen around. Let's see. All right, this one is giving me a problem. Do you see anything that I am not seeing? Okay, what do we do? Might have to get help on this one. All right. Our king is kind of stuck in the open here, and that looks pretty dangerous. So maybe we have to do something about that. Do we try and attack with our knight? Attacking this bishop, the bishop could just drop back. Is there a way to go after the king and set up some kind of an attack? All right, I'm not sure here. What looks best? Do we attack the queen? Do we go here? Threatening an attack with our queen. Well, we can't even do that because that bishop's covering that as well. Then if we move our knight here, the rook could come over and pin it to the queen. So that doesn't look too good as well. Wow. If we attack the queen, then what? Then there's a check, and that's a mate because of this bishop. So, wow. I think we need to do something about that. All right, I'm going to get this wrong. I don't know here. Do we go there? No. I'm just going to have to start making moves because the video is dragging on. Do we go there? No. What is the move? There. I think I already made that move. Do we go there? That is what they want? Okay, why is that a good move? I mean, you have this move. Then what? Well, I guess then you could bring the knight up or somewhere where it can help defend. I'm going to pull the analysis up real quick. I hope you did better on that one than I did. So here we have this move and that. Well, let's see if the computer thinks that was best. Yes, and apparently that's the only move to keep an advantage. By going there, then what? I mean, what if that is played? Then what do you do? Oh, you got this. So you can just capture. So that can't... Oh, well, you capture with check. That's why it's possible. So they recommend what? Bishop to d3? So if you capture, queen captures, and then you have rook to e1, and their king is really stuck out in the open. Okay, so yeah, that was kind of crazy. On to puzzle number 5. Rooks have doubled on the open file, fighting our rook. Do we just trade off here or what? So let's look at the material. 4, 6 pawns versus 6. So pawns are even, and so is the rest of the material. So what do we do here? Well, we have to watch out for maybe back rank mate threats if we start trading. You know, if they capture, we capture. They capture. Our bishop could capture. So, what now? With us to move, we don't usually want to let our opponent have this doubled rook battery here on the open D file. So if we take, what do? Recapture with a rook. Then if we go here, if they capture, our bishop captures. And then what? Does the queen move to this open file and threaten a back rank mate? Maybe. Now we do have queen lined up here. If we look at checks, captures, and threats, do we have any checks? No, no way to deliver a check, but we have a queen lined up on the king. If only we could move this pawn. So maybe, well, if we try to attack the queen, oh, that's where we probably have to get rid of a rook first. Because if we go here attacking the queen, they could have a check, capture, capture with check. Now the bishop could move back and block, but then it'll be pinned there. So maybe we capture first, rook captures, then attack the queen. And then maybe we have this discovered attack. You know, a discovered attack on the king, and then we'd be attacking the rook. All right. Oh, but now, well, I still think that's a good move going there. So here we can just take the rook. Wow. We just take the rook now. Oh, and we have to make a decision here. Now, the easiest thing is probably to just knock the queen off the board. Because if we go there, they could take our bishop. So we just knock that out. They grab our pawn, but then we still have the extra rook, and that should be enough to win. Okay, I'll try and do 5 more of these. Sorry about that one that drug out a little bit. So a capture towards the center. What is going on in this position? We have 7 pawns. Our opponent has 7 as well. And we both have 3 minor pieces. We have the bishop pair. They do not. So now, if we look at checks first, I think that would give us our answer. So pause if you need to think longer. If not, you know, we have a check with the bishop, but we also have maybe a better check with the queen, because then we would be attacking their bishop as well. So if we deliver a check, oh, I didn't mean to actually do that, but now that I did, what would have happened if they would have blocked with their queen? Anyway, now we can just go ahead and capture here like that. And so now we're just ahead by an extra bishop. All right, well, hopefully you found that one. There might have been other options in that one. Like, what if they blocked with their queen? But I'm going to move on, try and finish this video up. That way I don't drag it out too long. On to puzzle number 7. Okay, a rook has dropped back to defend this pawn, preventing our queen from capturing with check. So what do we do here? Well, our queen is hovering around our opponent. Material is even, but our queen is really commanding these squares. So how do we take advantage of that? Hopefully you found the answer. What if we move up here? And then we're threatening a mate by going there. And is there any way to stop that? Let's find out. If we go there, what if our opponent counters by going here? Now our king has to move. But where is best? Here, maybe. That way we don't go onto the dark squares that the queen could check us from, and you know, then we really might be in trouble. So I think that works, and there's no way to stop it. So we go there. Boom. Now, we don't want to go up here, because then there's some potential ways to harass us. I mean, we could go there. If the king then moves, there's a mate on h8. if the queen were to block, well then you could attack the king with the rook, pulling the king away from the defense of the queen. And that could be a problem. All right. So we make sure we go here. Oh, and now they just throw that in. So that's an interesting way to go. You know, now we're pretty much forced to take, but we're ahead in material. We just move here and the queen. You know, now we're really winning. All right, I hope you figured that one out. On to puzzle number 8. Pawn is just pushed forward as it was under attack by our knight. What do we have going on in this position? We only have 2 pawns and our opponent has, wow, what, 6 of them? We could just snatch up the bishop here. Then we would have 2 minor pieces for their rook, but they still have all those 4 extra pawns, which look pretty dangerous. Now, we do have a possibility here of a discovered attack on their king. Is there any way to take advantage of that? All right, maybe there is a way to take advantage of that. Okay. Well, if we could move our bishop, delivering the check, the king would be able to move left or right on the back rank. If we move here, then we have a threat of bringing our knight over and delivering a mate. They could either move the rook up, Okay, let's take a look at this. If we move the knight here, we're threatening a checkmate immediately. They can either move something, a pawn, to allow the king to run. I don't know if that's forcing enough. Maybe we have to move immediately. Oh, by going here. So either the bishop blocks and then we capture and the king has to move anyway, and the king could just go here, but then we can deliver a mate right there. So check, check, and mate. All right, on to puzzle number 9. The rook is pressed forward here. What do we do? Okay, why did the rook go there? Now they're lined up on that pawn, perhaps, along with the bishop. So the bishop could capture, and they would, attack the queen and lose that pawn. Now, if we tried to go here, the king would have to move there, and we don't have enough time, or do we, to move up there, threatening a mate with queen to g2. If the bishop captured and we captured and the queen captured, then we could take here. The king would have to capture the pawn. Okay, that's a lot happening there. So, does it work? That's the question. Check. King has to go here. If we move up to here, they would most likely capture. If we capture, queen captures, although they don't have to. Then we go after that with check. The king would capture our pawn on h2. Then what? All right, I think this is the way forward, so I'm going to at least start that. And then, I don't know. I mean, it would be nice if we could go there and there, but this pawn will be captured by their bishop. Might as well continue with my plan. All right, I have to take their bishop, right? So they do not capture there because they didn't want that move. So now what? Do we double the rooks? Or just take their rook and double their pawns over there? Huh. We do have an extra bishop. So maybe we just capture there. All right, so that's what they wanted. Now we just have that extra bishop. And as far as pawns, we have 4, 6. Our opponent has 7. So we have a bishop for a pawn. You know, they'll capture. Now their pawns are all kind of wrecked over here. All right, and the queen is stuck on guard duty, protecting that rook, and their king is really trapped in there in the corner. Okay, on to the final puzzle, number 10. The rook slides over to the center, attacking our queen. But maybe this, oh wow, maybe this will allow a very famous and pretty cool checkmate pattern. So pause the video if you want to figure it out on your own. If not, it looks like we have a possibility. I mean, if we're going with our system, we can count up the material first. 4 pawns versus 6. So we're down 2 pawns. We're down a bishop as well. So we need to go for a mate. So checks first. Well, we don't want to go here. We'll just be captured by their bishop. We don't want to go here. The queen will capture us. Pawn will capture us. Rook will capture us. But we could sacrifice the queen for the rook here. And then after the king is forced to capture, we have our rook lined up. We could move the bishop over here with a double discovered check. And the king would have to move. And wherever it moves, left or right, we could deliver a mate on d8 with our rook. So sacrifice, double discovered check. Now remember, when a king is in check, he has 3 or less options: capture, block, or run. But because once we move this bishop, 2 attackers are checking, you can't block or capture both of those. All that can be done is for the king to run. And now we can deliver that back rank mate. So great little pattern there. I hope you did well in these puzzles. Feel free, as always, to leave comments. Let me know what you think. Are you getting tired of these pattern recognition puzzles? Do you want something different? You know, request whatever you'd like. I could try and make a video on that topic for you. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thanks, and have a super chess day.